Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into a topic that's reshaping how enterprises actually deploy AI at scale. We're talking about AI agents and workflow orchestration, specifically how organizations are moving beyond the chatbot hype and building sophisticated systems that actually deliver measurable ROI. Our guest today is Sam, who's going to help us unpack this. Sam, when you hear AI agents and workflow orchestration, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Great to be here, Alex. Honestly, what strikes me most is how the industry narrative has shifted. 2 years ago, everyone was obsessed with building autonomous agents, the idea that AI could just go off and make decisions independently. But what we're seeing now, especially in places like Eindhoven, which is a real hub for manufacturing and tech, is that enterprises have matured past that fantasy. They're building orchestrated systems where multiple specialized agents work together under a control plane that actually keeps humans in the loop.
That's a perfect segue. The statistics in the research are pretty striking. 73% of enterprises now prioritize orchestration over standalone tools. That's a massive shift. But for our listeners who maybe aren't deep in enterprise AI, why does orchestration matter more than just having one really smart AI agent?
Because a single agent is a single point of failure, and it's also a generalist trying to do everything. Think about it this way. If you have a customer service chatbot, it needs to triage inquiries, handle billing questions, manage technical support, and route complex issues to humans. That's a lot of different skill sets. Orchestration lets you have specialized agents, one that's excellent at billing, another at technical diagnostics, another at scheduling, and a conductor layer that routes work to the right agent and makes sure context flows smoothly.
So it's like having a specialized surgical team instead of one doctor trying to do everything in the operating room. That makes intuitive sense. And the research mentions a 340% average ROI within 18 months. Sam, is that realistic, or is that the best-case scenario?
It's coming from Gartner's 2025 report, so it's based on real deployments, not projections. But here's the nuance, that ROI typically comes when companies are replacing manual processes or expensive human-heavy operations. A manufacturer in Eindhoven automating supply chain coordination sees huge savings. Customer service operations cutting escalations by 30% see massive productivity gains. The 340% assumes you're measuring full-stack impact, labor savings, error reduction, faster resolution times, and improved customer satisfaction metrics that drive retention.
Got it. So context matters enormously. Let's talk about the control plane, because that seems to be where the actual enterprise-grade sophistication lives. What exactly is a control plane doing in this architecture?
The control plane is essentially the governance and coordination layer. Imagine you have 10 different AI agents running across your organization. The control plane is asking, who can access what data? What business rules must be enforced? When does a decision need human approval? Where are bottlenecks? The control plane also maintains what we call the agent registry, a centralized catalog that says, Agent X is really good at invoice processing, Agent Y handles scheduling, and here's their reliability score. This enables dynamic routing and composition.
So it's not just coordination, it's also enforcement and accountability. That's critical in regulated industries. In something like manufacturing or healthcare, you need to know exactly why an AI made a decision.
Exactly. The audit and explainability piece is non-negotiable. Every decision an agent makes gets logged. Not just the outcome, but the context, the reasoning, the confidence level. If an agent says, this shipment has a 92% probability of quality issues and should be flagged, you need to trace back why. What data informed that? What thresholds triggered the alert? This becomes your compliance evidence when regulators or customers ask questions.
That's fascinating. Let's make this concrete. McKinsey's research shows 25 to 35% operational efficiency improvements in customer service, supply chain, and admin functions. Walk us through a real scenario in one of those domains.
Let's take supply chain, which is huge in Eindhoven. A customer submits an inquiry about a custom order delivery. Traditionally, this bounces between customer service, procurement, production scheduling, quality assurance, and logistics, often with the customer having to repeat information at each stage. With orchestrated agents, the customer describes their issue once. A triage agent classifies it. It routes to a procurement agent that checks supplier status, then to a production scheduling agent that validates production slots, then to logistics that checks shipping windows. Each agent has context from the previous one, no repeat requests, no human handoffs between steps. The entire resolution might go from 3 to 5 business days to 4 to 6 hours.
And that's where the 340% ROI comes in. Not just automation, but dramatically compressing cycle times and eliminating handoff friction. What about the escalation piece? Because humans have to stay in the loop somewhere.
This is crucial. A well-designed control plane sets confidence thresholds. If an agent says, "I'm 95% confident this invoice is correct," it processes automatically. If it drops to 60%, the system escalates to a human. This isn't the agent failing. It's the system working as intended. In customer service, if a customer is clearly frustrated or the issue is genuinely novel, the agent recognizes that and escalates gracefully, bringing the entire conversation context to the human agent. No starting over, no lost information. Humans handle what requires judgment. Agents handle what requires scale and consistency.
I love that framing. Escalation as a feature, not a bug. Let's talk about context management because I imagine that's technically complex. How does an orchestration system preserve context across multiple agents and interactions?
It's one of the hardest technical problems, honestly. You need unified storage, a shared knowledge base that every agent can read and write to. Let's say Agent A learns that a customer has a budget constraint. That information needs to be instantly available to Agent B when the customer's inquiry is routed forward. You also need to manage state. What's the current status of this transaction? What decisions have already been made? What's still pending? Some orchestration platforms handle this with a shared context layer. Others use event-driven architectures where each agent publishes what it learned. The key is avoiding information silos.
So we're looking at 2026 now. The research mentions AI Agents 2026 and alludes to multimodal AI and adaptive interfaces. What's your sense of where this is heading?
Multimodal is huge. Agents that can process voice, text, video, images, and structured data simultaneously. A manufacturing agent might analyze a product image from a customer, cross-reference technical specs, check inventory in real time, and generate a custom quote. Adaptive interfaces mean the system learns how different customers prefer to interact and adjusts accordingly. Some want emails, others want SMS, others want voice calls. The orchestration layer routes through the preferred channels seamlessly. And I think we'll see smarter context engineering, systems that are better at extracting and preserving only the information that matters, reducing noise and hallucination risks.
That's smart. Less is more in some cases. So for our listeners who are in organizations considering this, maybe they're in Eindhoven, maybe they're elsewhere, what's the practical first step? Don't try to orchestrate everything, right?
Start with a high-friction, high-volume workflow. Customer service escalations, invoice processing, appointment scheduling, something that costs you money and time right now. Map out the decision tree and agent responsibilities. Then build or implement a control plane that can handle at least 3 to 5 specialized agents. Measure baseline metrics: cycle time, error rate, escalation rate, customer satisfaction. Deploy the system and track those metrics religiously. You want clear, quantifiable evidence that orchestration is working. If you can't measure it, you can't optimize it.
And you mentioned earlier that McKinsey and Gartner both have recent research backing this up. The evidence is pretty solid that this isn't theoretical. It's working in production across enterprises today.
Absolutely. The 2024 McKinsey Global AI Survey shows companies with mature AI orchestration are seeing those 25-35% efficiency gains. Gartner's 2025 report shows 73% of enterprises are already shifting strategy. These aren't early adopters anymore. This is becoming table stakes. If you're not thinking about orchestration, you're likely leaving significant competitive advantage on the table.
Really compelling stuff. Sam, last question. For organizations in manufacturing hubs like Eindhoven specifically, what's unique about their position to capitalize on this?
Manufacturing has incredibly complex workflows: procurement, production scheduling, quality control, logistics, customer service. That complexity is actually an advantage for orchestration. You have clear, well-defined handoffs between departments. You have rich data streams. You have measurable outputs. A manufacturing company that orchestrates these workflows correctly can compress product-to-customer cycles, reduce defects, improve supply chain visibility, and drive massive cost savings. In a high-precision, high-stakes environment like manufacturing, orchestration also enables explainability and auditability that regulatory bodies love.
Brilliant. Well, folks, if you want to dive deeper into the technical specifics, the business case frameworks, and more detailed deployment strategies, head over to EtherLink AI and find the full article on AI Agents and Workflow Orchestration. Sam, thanks for walking through this with us.
Thanks for having me, Alex. This is an exciting moment in enterprise AI. Less hype, more substance. I think we're going to see incredible results in 2026 from organizations that get orchestration right.
Thanks to our listeners as well. This has been EtherLink AI Insights. We'll see you next time.